The scream came from the snow. Not loud, worse than that. Thin. Strangled. Like someone was trying not to be heard. I stopped mid-step, the grocery bag cutting into my fingers, milk sloshing inside. The streetlight above me flickered once, then steadied, bathing the road in sickly yellow. Christmas lights glowed in windows on both sides of the street. Red. Green. Warm. Fake. The scream came again. Closer. I looked toward the empty road stretching into darkness. Snow covered everything in smooth, untouched white, except for one thing. Footprints. Bare feet. They led from the woods toward the houses, and stopped right in the middle of the road. No return trail. My breath fogged the air. My heart hammered so loudly I was sure someone else could hear it. I waited for a laugh. A drunk neighbor. A prank. Nothing. Then the footprints shifted. Not new steps. No fresh impressions. Just moved. As if something invisible had turned around, standing right where I was looking. A whisper slid through the cold air. You saw it too. I dropped the groceries. Milk exploded across the snow like spilled bone. I ran. Behind me, the Christmas lights across the street flicked off, one by one, like something passing through them. I didn't look back. I didn't need to, because deep down, I already knew. That scream wasn't calling for help. It was announcing something had arrived, and it was walking toward my house. I stood frozen in the dark living room, my breath shallow, my ears ringing with the echo of the knock that hadn't come from the door. 3 taps. From inside the house. The power was still out. The TV screen glowed faintly, frozen on a smiling face mid-laugh, its cheer twisted into something grotesque by the silence around it. The Christmas tree lights blinked once, red, green, then went dead. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The house felt wrong now. Not dangerous in a loud way. Not violent. Just aware. As if every wall, every piece of furniture, had leaned slightly inward, listening. Hello. My voice cracked. The word felt fragile, like it might shatter if it traveled too far. Nothing answered. I told myself it was stress. Long shift. Cold night. Too much imagination. That's what people like me always say before everything breaks. I took one step toward the hallway. The floorboard creaked beneath my foot. Sharp, accusing. I waited for something to react. It didn't. That scared me more. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, shadows pooling at its far end. My bedroom door stood open. I was sure I'd closed it before leaving for work. I remembered the click of the latch. I always remembered small things like that. Something moved near the ceiling. Not fast. Not slow. Just deliberate. I snapped on my phone's flashlight. The beam cut through the dark and landed on the wall beside the bedroom door. Handprints. Bare. Pale. Too long. They were pressed flat against the paint, fingers splayed wide, as if someone had been holding themselves upright there for a long time. Frost rimmed each print, delicate and white, spreading outward like veins. My stomach dropped. No, I whispered. No, no, no. The handprints slid downward. Not smeared. Not dragged. They lowered, inch by inch, like something unseen was calmly stepping away from the wall. Then they were gone. The temperature rose suddenly, air rushing back into the house like a held breath released. The Christmas tree lights flickered on. The TV resumed sound. Laughter filled the room. Everything looked normal again. I stood there shaking, my flashlight still trained on the empty wall. I checked the doors. Locked. Checked the windows. Sealed. Checked the hallway. Empty. I laughed then, short, sharp, almost angry. Get it together, I muttered. You're scaring yourself. But my reflection in the hallway mirror didn't laugh with me. It stood half a second behind. I turned so fast my neck hurt. Nothing. The mirror showed only me. Pale, wide-eyed, breath fogging the glass. Still, I wiped the mirror clean with my sleeve. When I pulled my hand away, a single word appeared beneath the fading fog. Walk. My phone buzzed so violently I nearly dropped it. A text message. Unknown number. You heard it too. I stared at the screen, pulse thundering in my ears. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. Heard what? I typed, then deleted it. Another message arrived. The snow doesn't sound right tonight. That's when I realized how quiet it had become. No wind. No distant cars. No dogs barking. Just a thick, pressing silence wrapped around the house. I moved to the window and pulled the curtain back an inch. The street lay blanketed in white, the streetlight outside glowing faintly through falling snow. Everything looked peaceful. Too peaceful. Then I saw them. Footprints. Bare feet. They circled my house slowly, carefully, never overlapping. Whoever, or whatever, had made them had taken its time. The prints paused beneath my window, as if it knew where I was standing. The glass fogged suddenly from the outside. A shape leaned close. Not a face. Just a tall, narrow outline, darker than the night behind it. The whisper slid through the glass, soft and intimate. You looked. I stumbled back, heart slamming against my ribs. The fog vanished. The footprints outside were already filling with fresh snow, disappearing like they'd never been there. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a name I recognized. Mrs. Halloway, next door. The message was short. Turn off your lights. Don't let it see you moving. I typed back with shaking hands. What is it? 3 dots appeared. Then stopped. The power cut out again. From somewhere deep in the woods, beyond the houses, beyond the road. Something screamed. And this time it said my name. I did exactly what Mrs. Halloway said. I turned off every light. The house fell into a darkness so complete it felt physical, like a blanket pulled tight over my head. I stood in the living room, phone clutched to my chest, afraid even its faint glow might give me away. Outside, the forest breathed. Slow, deep, patient. I waited for footsteps, for knocking, for the whisper to come back and finish whatever it had started. Nothing happened. Minutes stretched thin. My legs began to ache. My thoughts spiraled, circling the same question over and over. What did I look at? The scream. The footprints. The shape at the window. I hadn't chased it. I hadn't called out. I hadn't invited anything in. I'd only seen it. My phone buzzed once, soft but violent in the silence. Mrs. Halloway, you need to come here. No. Don't walk on the road. I stared at the message. Another followed. Stay close to the houses. If you hear it speak, don't answer. I didn't reply. I put on my coat in the dark, hands fumbling with the zipper. When I opened the door, cold air spilled inside, sharp and clean and wrong. Snow crunched softly under my boots as I stepped out. Immediately I felt it. That sense of being measured. Like something in the woods had turned its attention fully on me. Not with hunger, not with anger, but with recognition. The street was darker now. Several houses had gone black, their Christmas lights extinguished. Curtains were drawn tight. Doors shut. The neighborhood felt abandoned, but I knew better. They were all inside, listening. I kept close to the houses as instructed, walking on packed snow where others had passed earlier in the evening. I refused to look toward the woods, even when branches cracked softly in greeting. Mrs. Halloway's porch light flickered twice as I approached, then steadied. She opened the door before I knocked. Her face looked older than it had yesterday. Not tired, hollowed. Like something had reached inside her and scooped a piece out. You saw it, she said quietly. It wasn't a question. Inside, her house smelled of dust, old books and cold tea. The air felt stale, heavy with memories that didn't want to be disturbed. Christmas decorations sat unopened in their boxes along the wall, untouched. I thought I was imagining it, I said. She shook her head. No one imagines it the first time. She locked the door behind me. Then the deadbolt. Then slid a chair beneath the handle. Only then did she breathe. We sat at her kitchen table without turning on the lights. A single candle burned between us, its flame trembling as if aware of being watched. How long has this been happening? I asked. Mrs. Halloway folded her hands. Her fingers trembled. "Longer than this town has had a name," she said. "But it didn't always come back like this." She reached beneath the table and pulled out a worn leather folder. Its edges were cracked, softened by decades of handling. "Every 20 years, she continued. "Always Christmas Eve." She slid the folder toward me. Inside were newspaper clippings. Old ones. Yellowed. Brittle. "Local man missing. Winter storm blamed tragic accident in woods search called off after 3 days." The dates were spaced exactly 20 years apart. My throat tightened. "These aren't accidents." "No," she said. "They're replacements." She told me the story slowly, like speaking too fast might wake something. Long ago, before paved roads, before streetlights, a man had lived on the edge of the forest. Quiet. Observant. Unwelcome. People said he knew things. That he watched too closely. That he remembered what others wanted forgotten. One winter something went wrong. A child vanished. Fear spread faster than truth. They didn't wait for proof. They dragged him into the woods barefoot in the snow, promising to come back if he confessed. They left him tied to a tree as night fell. They never returned. "What they didn't know," Mrs. Halloway said, voice barely above a whisper, "is that the forest was already listening." I felt cold creep up my spine. "They found the tree in the spring," she continued. "The rope was still there, frozen solid. But the man was gone." "What came back?" I asked. Her eyes lifted to mine. Not a man. The candle flickered violently, flame stretching sideways like it was being pulled. She slammed her hand over it, plunging the room into darkness. We sat frozen, listening. A sound drifted through the walls. Footsteps. Slow. Bare. Moving around the house. I pressed my hand to my mouth. Mrs. Halloway leaned close, her breath warm against my ear. "Don't move," she whispered. "It's checking." The footsteps paused outside the kitchen wall. Then came the whisper. Not loud. Not threatening. Patient. "I remember you." Mrs. Halloway squeezed my wrist hard enough to hurt. The footsteps moved on. Only when they faded completely did she relight the candle. Tears ran silently down her face. "It doesn't kill," she said. "Not right away. It stays. It makes sure it's seen." "Why?" I asked. "Why show itself?" "So the town doesn't forget," she said. "And so it can choose." That night I didn't go home. I slept on Mrs. Halloway's couch, though sleep is the wrong word. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw snow-swallowing footprints, heard screaming cut short by cold. Sometime near dawn, I dreamed I was walking barefoot through the woods. I wasn't cold. I wasn't afraid. I was being guided. I woke with frost on my eyelashes. The days that followed felt unreal, stretched thin and translucent. Christmas passed quietly. No carolers. No fireworks. Just an unspoken agreement to survive until morning. People avoided my eyes. At the gas station, conversation stopped when I walked in. An old man grabbed my sleeve as I passed, his grip desperate. "You saw it, didn't you?" he whispered. I pulled away. "I don't know what you mean." His face crumpled with relief and fear. "Good," he said. "Good. Keep saying that." Things in my house began to shift. Not dramatically. A chair angled slightly wrong. A door left open when I was sure I'd closed it. Snow melting in places it shouldn't. Sometimes I heard breathing behind me. Sometimes my name, spoken softly, like a reminder. I stopped sleeping. I stopped trusting mirrors. I stopped going near the woods, but the woods came closer anyway. One night, I found footprints in my hallway. Bare. Wet. They led to my bedroom, and stopped beside my bed. That was when I understood. The walker wasn't hunting. It was waiting. I confronted Mrs. Halloway the next morning. "You said it chooses," I told her. "How?" She didn't answer right away. Then she said, "When the time comes, the town will help it." My stomach turned. Help it do what? She met my gaze, eyes empty. "Make room." That evening, the power went out across the entire town. No explanation. No storm. Just darkness. From every house, people stepped outside at the same time, drawn by the same silent signal. No one spoke. No one looked at each other. They walked toward the woods. Toward me. And from between the trees, something tall and pale waited patiently. Remembering. Choosing. And this time, it didn't whisper. It smiled. The night air pressed against me like a living thing. Every breath felt sharp, heavy, and wrong. Snow crunched under my boots, but I wasn't walking on it. I was sinking into it as if the world itself were swallowing me. The trees loomed overhead, skeletal and black, branches clawing at the sky. And there it was. The walker. I had seen it before, briefly in the window, but now it stood fully visible between the trees, impossibly tall, thin, skin stretched pale as moonlight, features hollowed and wrong. Its eyes were black hollows that didn't blink. Its mouth stretched into a grin that made my stomach flip. It didn't move fast. It didn't need to. Its presence made the air thrum, like the world was tuning itself to a note only I could hear. I tried to run. My legs were heavy, like walking through syrup. Every direction led me back to the same place, the same snow-drowned clearing. Time itself felt broken. Moments stretched and doubled back. I could hear every step before it happened. Feel every crack of a branch before it snapped. From the woods, faces emerged. Pale, frozen, partially buried in snow, eyes wide, mouths open in silent warning. They weren't alive, but they weren't dead. They were waiting. Watching. Reminding me. Why me? I whispered, voice cracking. The walker tilted its head. Its grin widened. Because you saw. My mind raced. The stories. Mrs. Halloway. The newspaper clippings. The townspeople. Everything made sense at once, and I wished it hadn't. The walker wasn't here to kill. It was here to replace. And I had been chosen. I sank to my knees, cold snow seeping into my clothes. The walker stepped closer. Its feet made no impression in the snow, no sound, yet every crunch of my boots echoed loudly in the stillness. "Walk," it said. The voice wasn't outside me. It was inside, under my skin, whispering, coaxing, commanding. I tried to resist. My legs refused to obey. My arms froze at my sides. Walk. The faces in the snow moved, aligning, forming a path deeper into the woods. Each step I took was involuntary. My body betrayed me. I knew it, and still I moved. The trees bent slightly as I passed, black shapes leaning closer. Shadows stretched unnaturally, twisting toward me. Every familiar landmark, the street, my house, Mrs. Halloway's porch, disappeared. All that existed was snow, the dark forest, and the walker. I screamed, but the sound came out as a whisper. My voice seemed absorbed by the night. The walker's grin never faltered. It was patient, inevitable. I tried to stop, tried to fall, tried to cry for help, but every attempt was futile. Suddenly, the ground beneath me shifted. Time itself seemed to buckle. Snow slid upward. Branches bent in impossible angles. The sky fragmented into streaks of light and dark. I realized in horror that the forest was alive. The walker didn't speak now. It merely watched. Its presence alone commanded me. I stumbled into a clearing where the snow glowed faintly beneath the pale light of a crescent moon. The air smelled of frost and old blood. There, in the center, stood a tree. A massive, skeletal thing. And beneath it, the rope. Frozen solid. I recognized it from Mrs. Halloway's story. The walker stopped beside the tree. Its head tilted slightly. It extended a long, pale hand toward me. "Step forward," it whispered. My legs moved without consent. My hands clenched in the snow. I wanted to resist. I tried. But I was already walking. The rope uncoiled itself in the air. Hovering, waiting. Snow fell around me in slow motion. My heart hammered in my chest like a drum, each beat echoing through the forest. The walker's grin widened. It bent slightly as if examining me, studying my fear. Its voice seeped into my skull again. Remember. You will not leave. You will not forget. You are chosen. I stumbled forward. My breath came in ragged bursts. The tree loomed above, cold and menacing. The rope slithered toward me, alive in its stillness. And then the townspeople appeared. Not fully, not alive. Shadows of them, translucent and pale, eyes hollow, mouths frozen in silent screams. They didn't speak. They didn't move. They were just there. Witnesses. Judges. Guides. The walker stepped aside. Its black eyes bored into mine. I felt the pull of the rope of the snow of the forest. I fell to my knees. My hands scraped the snow, my nails cutting into ice. But there was no escape. The rope wrapped around my wrists. Cold. Solid. Yet alive. It held me, guiding me closer to the tree. I tried one last thing. I screamed my own name. I called for Mrs. Halloway. I called for my house. I called for the snow to swallow me whole. Nothing answered. The rope pulled tighter. My body moved forward. The walker leaned closer, watching, silent. My heart froze as I realized the inevitable. The world folded in on itself. Time fractured. Snow and shadow mixed. Every step felt like a lifetime. Every breath was fire and ice at once. Then I stopped seeing the forest. I stopped seeing the walker. I stopped seeing myself. I existed only as part of the path now. Only as part of the story. And the forest exhaled. The walker's grin lingered in the corner of my mind. It was finished. But I was not gone. I was waiting. Barefoot. Silent. Watching. The world after that night was smaller. Quieter. Sharper. I moved back into my old house, though it no longer felt like mine. Every corner, every shadow, every familiar object carried a memory I could not escape. The snow outside seemed to hold its breath, waiting, listening. Windows reflected not just the street but shapes that lingered just beyond vision. Figures with hollow eyes, silent mouths, waiting for recognition. People in town treated me differently. Not unkindly, but with a subtle fear that never left their gaze. The children avoided looking at me entirely, and even neighbors with long memories crossed the street to pass without a word. Conversations were short, clipped, careful. They knew somehow. Knew I had seen it. Knew I had been marked. I tried to return to routine. Work. Grocery runs. Watching old Christmas movies with the lights on too bright. But every sound outside, the crunch of snow, the wind through bare branches, the distant howl of dogs, made my pulse spike. Every reflection, every shadow in the house, seemed slightly wrong. A room would shift if I wasn't looking. Objects rearranged themselves subtly, perfectly, almost politely, until I realized nothing was polite about it at all. Nighttime was worse. Darkness no longer brought sleep, only the creeping awareness that I was never alone. At first, I thought the presence I felt was just memory, lingering fear from that night. Then the whispers began. Soft. Patient. Not urgent. Not demanding. Just observing, reminding. Sometimes my own voice answered before I knew it, forming words I didn't intend. Walk. Remember. Wait. I tried to explain. Tried to tell someone, anyone. But who would believe me? Newspaper articles didn't exist yet for my experience. Mrs. Halloway had moved away. Or perhaps she didn't survive the walker's visit. I had no proof, no witness, only memories that seemed to rearrange themselves in the dark. And then the footprints began appearing. Bare, wet, stopping just short of the door. I would see them in the morning, or sometimes at night, vanishing before my eyes. I stopped leaving the house after dark, but the footprints didn't care. They were patient. I was patient. Over time I realized that I was changed. Hollowed out. The living could see me, hear me, but never fully know me. I moved among them, smiled at their children, answered polite questions, but the truth of that night followed me in every snowflake, every shadow, every flicker of light. The walker never left. Not entirely. Sometimes I sensed its presence just beyond the streetlights, or in the reflection of windows when I walked past my neighbors' homes. Its patience was as endless as the snow, as deliberate as the winter wind. It waited for me to forget, waited for me to notice, waited for someone else. Every Christmas Eve, I see the snow differently now. It's not soft. It's not white. It's a warning, a ledger of time, a reminder of inevitability. I hear the faint echo of screams in the wind and recognize them as mine. Not fully mine, not fully another's. Something in between, stretched thin over years, over decades, over moments I can barely comprehend. Some nights, I stand at the edge of the forest and watch the trees. Bare, skeletal, patient. I feel a presence behind me, but when I turn, nothing is there. Only the snow, quiet and expectant, as if the world itself is holding its breath. And I wait, because I have learned that the walker is not malevolent. It is inevitable. It does not hunt. It observes. It chooses. And those who see it, who are marked by its attention, exist differently from the rest of the world. I am no longer fully alive, nor am I fully gone. I move, I speak, I eat, I pretend. But beneath it all, beneath every heartbeat, every breath, I feel the pull of the path it laid out for me. The path through snow and shadow. The path through time. I know the town will always remember, even when it thinks it has forgotten. And I know the walker will return, as it always does, patient, deliberate, eternal. Some nights I leave the house. Not far. Just to the edge of the street. Footprints appear in the snow, bare, stopping at my doorstep. I follow them sometimes, silently, carefully, feeling the pull in my chest. I have learned that resistance is useless. Understanding is impossible. Only observation remains. And when the snow falls, I wait. Because inevitably, one day, it will be someone else's turn. The air will be quiet. The shadows will shift. And someone will look. And the walker will smile. And I will be there watching, waiting. Barefoot. Silent. The house sits empty during the day. At night, the lights flicker. If you walk past it in the snow, you might see footprints. You might hear a whisper. And you will feel it. That Christmas night was never just a night. It was the beginning. And it will never end.